August 17th, 2022. We're looking at images over the Gulf of Mexico this morning, and you've got a system moving down, and that's going to be a steering factor possibly for this system that's about to move across the Yucatan Peninsula. National Hurricane Center is watching at 20% chance of development. And the arrow is basically the projected path. Move across the Yucatan, stay weak over the next 2 days, but once it reemerges into the Bay of Campeche, it's very warm waters there, so we'll have to pay attention at that point. They have it at a 20% chance of development now. Now, system coming off of Africa, we don't know what that's going to do, how it's going to mingle with that Saharan sand layer. Just not sure yet. You still don't have the conditions really good coming right off the coast. The last one that did it made it 3 or 4 days and just dissipated. We'll have to watch that system and watch and see if they start talking about it. But again, 20% chance of development. Notice how it looks like it's going to cross the lower Yucatan, move into the Bay of Campeche, and possibly move up along the coast. It says a tropical wave over Honduras in the northwestern Caribbean Sea is forecast to move across Central America during the next couple of days and emerge from the Bay of Campeche. And that's going to be Friday, guys, and that's where they're thinking that it could develop. The low pressure system could increase there. And so it looks like a weekend event. Just something to keep an eye on, because this is the early models of it. It could move into Mexico and die down. It could stay out in the Gulf and intensify. That's what we will be watching. Also on the sun, it says the impacts have begun. A minor CME hit Earth's magnetic field on August 17th at 0300 hours. Remember, and that's very close. You consider the distance between the Earth and the sun. They said at 0000 hours on the 17th, remember, which would have put it at about 5 p.m., 6 p.m. on the East Coast, came in about 9 p.m. Says it could be the first of several CME strikes, and we're going to take a look at it. Solar wind speed is in the purple. The green line is the heat of this event. Above that in the orange is the density in particles cubed of the thickness of this cloud. But that's where it started at about 0300 hours. It was about 3 hours late. But you've got an average of 93 million miles between the Earth and the Sun, which is 1 AU, or 1 astronomical unit. So that's a very accurate forecast that they put there. 3 hours is not much at that speed and that distance. Here we have 3 new CMEs. They're projected to come in here tomorrow. We'll take a look at that exact time, but what these are called are cannibal CMEs. We'll look at the images from SOHO and the SDO, but what happened, there's 3 events back to back fired off the sun, 3 different coronal mass ejections. The ones in the rear have are caught up with the very first one on the left. Now, this is not showing the one that hit us early last night. Now, I've got it paused here at 0500 hours on the 18th. So that's going to be tonight about midnight on the East Coast. Check it out. It's moving very quickly. But notice the green lines. They're both indicating the Earth. Plasma density here, and the green line here, radial velocity is the solar wind speed. Notice the multiple humps. That's because the timing of what they're calling these cannibal CMEs, there's 2 bumps. Check that out. And so what we saw last night, we saw a couple of 5-point earthquakes over near Japan. But this is one of the explosions from the CMEs that are coming in around midnight. Check this out. Started this back on the 16th. We're going to let it roll through a couple times. What we're seeing is CME after CME. Got multiple sunspots there. And guys, this heats the Earth when the solar wind speed increases. And you see the heating of it on that chart, that bottom line, the heat goes up. That is transferred all the way to the surface of our planet and actually into the planet itself via the magnetic lines of force. Here is a look from our Solar Dynamics Observatory. You can see multiple explosions from the center to the bottom right of the sun as it rotates. Notice your timestamps there, 16th and 17th. And that's what we're seeing. Notice you'll see there's a blast there, one in the middle, and that one. The last one was the strongest, it was the fastest, and that's why we're seeing it catch up with the other ones. Now, CERN shut down very close to this time. Notice timestamp August 17th, 600 hours, 6:45. This is actually live. But what had happened is when they're shooting these beams around the 17-mile cylinder, getting them to collide inside these huge magnets that they have to keep extremely cool, when they shut it down, maybe because one of the sections overheated, and I actually checked it, and that's true. But guys, this spin out that you see in these colliding particles is, think about it, as you reduce that magnetic force that's surrounding them, that's trying to guide them into collision, then as the magnets release their power, tremendous power, then it's rotating around that tube. You understand what I'm saying? That's what you're seeing, the dying out of both beams here. Was it related to the sunspots? I don't know. Or the solar activity, excuse me. We don't know that. But, guys, we still, to this day, we've heard about finding the Higgs boson, the God particle, reaching luminosity, hitting 14 tera-electron volts, extreme power, guys, 100,000 more times more powerful than our Earth's magnetic field. And we've seen it time and time again affect the magnetic field. But we have not had one real reason, one good explanation for the billions of dollars that have been spent in this top secret underground experiment. There's been a lot of speculation about portals opening and closing, letting things through, letting things out. Who knows? You know, and I can't help but think this, and I think very few of us actually know the truth about it, but if you were to try to open a portal to escape, why? Think about this. There's been a lot of information come out lately about the strength of the Van Allen radiation belt, and that they don't think man has ever actually went past that point. And they would have to do that to make it to the moon. Now, unmanned craft can do it because they're not. The human and the radiation exposure does not mix very well at all. But would that portal allow someone like Bezos or Musk and an elite few escape that radiation belt? Because they're not going to, they talk about going to the moon, going to Mars, and that's not going to happen with manned spacecraft unless there was some way to open that gap. Just something I was thinking about, because we know that the Earth is in trouble. Going through drought, heat, there's going to be a lot of famine, possibly war between the three major superpowers and NATO. In other words, is the gap, or the opening of the gate, or the parting of the veil, an attempt to escape instead of let something in. Who knows? We're watching it, guys. Something to think about. It's a heads up. Be safe.